In this era, every person, rich or poor, is a human air purifier. Their lungs filter the toxins of an entire city. Their lifespan is the filter's lifespan. This is your fate. Until the day you awaken and unlock the right to truly breath.
Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really thought-provoking material in front of us today, stuff that genuinely challenges how we think about our health, our lifespan, maybe even what it means to be human now.
Yeah, the source is this striking piece just out September 4th, 2025. It's called The Human Air Purifier and the Lifespan Shackle. Authors are Fuchi Wu and Junshi DaGe. So our mission today is to really unpack these big ideas, the human air purifier, what's that about, and this lifespan shackle. We want to understand how our everyday lives, our environments, might be shaping our future in ways we don't realize. And crucially, what the source suggests is the only way to change that path. So let's dive in.
Okay, the material jumps right in with this incredibly vivid image, almost dystopian, really. It's the idea that from the moment we're born, we're basically forced into being a human air purifier. What does that even mean? It describes our bodies, liver, kidneys, lungs, skin, nasal cavity, as biological filters, constantly working, absorbing, dealing with microtoxins, gases, chemicals, these ultrafine particles. And it's not framed as like a normal, healthy function. It's called a helpless sacrifice for almost everyone, 99.9% of us. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What is my body doing right now that I'm not even aware of?
That's exactly it. And what's really interesting here is how the source reframes these basic bodily functions. It suggests they're not just operating, they're in a constant involuntary fight against pollution. It's not just, occasional exposure. The argument is that it's a nonstop, lifelong burden. Our bodies effectively become these biological filtration units. And yeah, the authors are very clear. This isn't a role we choose. It's forced.
Yeah.
And they say it inevitably leads to, well, their words are functional collapse, disease outbreak, and the end of life. It paints a pretty stark picture, suggesting our internal systems are just slowly being overwhelmed.
Wow. Okay, so if that idea of our bodies as involuntary filters isn't jarring enough, the source then connects it directly to something even more fundamental, our lifespan, our ultimate limit. This is where they bring in that really powerful, kind of unsettling term, the lifespan shackle.
So what exactly is this shackle? They're very specific that it's not just natural aging. It's described as a lifespan limit that's explicitly set by human-made toxins. How is that supposed to work? How does this invisible chain operate? Right? That's a crucial connection they make. If you look at the bigger picture they're presenting, the argument is our biology is being held back, constrained by this invisible chain, an upper limit. And that limit is imposed by the sheer amount of toxins we accumulate. So the lifespan shackle isn't about how many years we're naturally programmed for. It's about hitting a toxic saturation point. Think of it like a personal pollution tank inside each of us. Every breath, every exposure, it adds a little bit more, minute by minute, day by day, relentlessly. And once that cumulative buildup of artificial toxins hits the limit, that saturation point, that's when the body starts to break down. Functional disorders, system collapse, organ failure. That's the sequence described. And the really alarming claim, this affects everyone, no exceptions. Doesn't matter about wealth, intelligence, background. It's universal. It forces a complete rethink of what actually determines how long we can live, suggesting we're all kind of on a timer set by toxins.
A toxin-imposed expiry date. That's heavy. So if we're all caught in this lifespan shackle, stuck being filters, is there any way out? Can we escape it? The source is pretty blunt. It says, humanity is trapped in an unavoidable toxin cycle. What does that cycle look like in practice? What are the specific things keeping us trapped, often without us even realizing it?
That's the core problem they want us to wrestle with. And they break down this cycle into four main parts. It shows just how pervasive these threats are. First, pervasive air pollution. We're talking the air outside, filled with ultrafine particles, PM 0.1, and even smaller. These are incredibly tiny, thousands of times smaller than a hair. They get past our defenses right into the bloodstream. That's key.
Okay.
Plus, VOCs, volatile organic compounds, fragrances, chemical gases. It's a constant mix.
Right. What's next?
Second, contaminated food and water, our daily intake. Residual toxins, things like plasticizers, heavy metals.
Okay, so air, food, water.
Third, the environmental release of toxins. This is about our surroundings, our stuff. Everyday things releasing harmful substances. Think about new furniture, off-gassing, detergents, paint.
Things we live with constantly.
Exactly. And the fourth part is our confinement in modern spaces. For many people, it's just hard to escape cities, modern buildings, these increasingly airtight environments we live and work in. The source sums it up by saying, humans are not the masters, but the victims here. and maybe the most tragic part, almost no one knows they've been assigned a lifespan limit. It's presented as an involuntary design of our industrial society, not, how things have to be.
That's yeah, incredibly sobering. It feels like an invisible siege. And the source highlights one group as being particularly vulnerable, facing the most tragic fate. That's people who spend a lot of time in enclosed buildings, modern offices, apartments, malls, the places many of us spend most of our days. What makes those places so dangerous, even more so than just general city pollution?
This is where the focus really narrows onto those ultrafine particles, the PM 0.1 and below. What's alarming is how silent and pervasive this threat is inside buildings. The source describes these modern buildings as often highly airtight. Very little fresh air coming in.
Right, they're sealed up for energy efficiency, often.
Exactly, which means indoor pollutants just keep circulating. Gases from building materials, perfumes, mold, VOCs. But the critical danger, according to the source, is the concentration of these ultrafine suspended particles. Invisible, smaller than many viruses.
These are the ones that get past our defenses.
Precisely. They bypass the lungs' natural filters, enter the bloodstream directly. From there, they travel everywhere, every organ, every cell. And they don't just pass through. The claim is they form chemical bonds with tissues. They get stored in fat in cell structures.
So they actually build up inside specific organs.
Yes. Which means certain organs, maybe your liver, kidneys, brain, pancreas, depending on your specific exposure and how your body absorbs them, will reach their toxic saturation point much earlier than they otherwise would, leading to premature functional problems, premature organ failure. The source uses strong language. People in these environments are living in invisible gas incubators, unknowingly becoming sacrificial filters.
Right.
Their timeline gets accelerated. Toxic saturation comes earlier. Functional disorders come earlier. Organ failure earlier. Life ends earlier. And the cruelest part? They reiterate. They never know they are heading towards this fate.
It really makes you rethink that sealed office environment, doesn't it? That controlled air. Okay, look. After laying out such a dire, almost inescapable picture, you have to ask, is there any hope? Is there a key to unlock this lifespan shackle? The source makes a very bold claim. It proposes what it calls the only way. The only way. That sounds almost too simple given the scale of the problem. How do they justify that? If our bodies are the filters, how can we possibly stop being the filters?
Right, and that's the pivot point in the material. From this bleak diagnosis to what they present as a revolutionary solution. They are very direct about it. The fundamental shift needed is, and I'm quoting here, to remove the human body's responsibility for air purification.
Take the job away from our bodies entirely.
That's the concept. Externalize the burden. And they lay out a specific three-step approach. First, active toxin blockage. This involves using what they call an air 6-no maze purification system.
6-no maze? What does that entail?
Well, they don't detail every no, but the implication is a multi-stage comprehensive system designed to block all 6 major types of pollutants: ultrafine particles, VOCs, gases, biologicals, everything. The idea is an impenetrable shield for your personal airspace.
Creating a truly clean microenvironment.
Exactly. A space where your body finally gets a break. Second, creating purified zones. This means setting up a 100% purified air domain in all your key spaces, where you sleep, where you live day to day, where you work.
Okay, makes sense. Protect your main environments.
And third, the ultimate aim, restoring true physiological function. By ending the human filter role, the body can supposedly revert to its natural state, its intended functions, letting organs heal and work properly. And they state unequivocally, this is the only correct way to unlock the lifespan shackle.
The only way.
And the predicted result.
If this is done successfully, they claim human toxin accumulation effectively drops to 0. And that lifespan limit we talked about, it gets pushed indefinitely.
Indefinitely. That's it. It's huge. It implies not just living longer, but a completely different kind of life. The source paints a really positive picture of what happens after the shackle is unlocked. Big changes, beyond just more years. What specific improvements can someone expect? What happens to your body, your mind, when you're no longer this involuntary filter?
Yeah, they describe a pretty profound transformation. Several key things are expected to happen. First, the body starts regaining its natural self-repair abilities. It heals better because it's not under constant toxic stress.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sleep quality dramatically improves. You actually wake up feeling energetic, not groggy.
Many people would want that.
Mental clarity increases, better memory, sharper perception. Things like joints, circulatory system, immune system, they return to optimal function.
normal function. And the big one, the aging process itself is significantly delayed. They even mention potentially doubling lifespan.
Doubling lifespan.
The ultimate shift is becoming, in their words, a true human. Again, not just a passive filter. It's about enhanced vitality, not just enduring. But then to really drive the point home, the material introduces some stark AI predictions. This really raises the stakes, framing it not just as individual health, but a potential turning point for humanity.
AI predictions, what do they forecast?
Two very different futures. If we don't unlock the shackle, the AI predicts a grim scenario. Toxic saturation point reached between 45-60 years old. Organ damage happening 10-15 years earlier than it might otherwise. Chronic disease rates exceeding 80%, global medical systems collapsing under the strain, and the human lifespan basically hitting a ceiling around 75-85 years. Stuck there, never breaking through.
Wow. Stagnation, basically.
Yes, they frame it as stagnation and regression of human civilization. But the flip side, the AI's prediction, if we do unlock, it foresees humanity splitting into two types. Those who remain human air filters, lives marked by suffering, shorter duration disease, and those who successfully unlock and evolve into non-toxic new humans, characterized by long life, mental clarity, freedom.
A fundamental split in the species, almost.
That's the implication. And the source stresses this massive divergence hinges entirely on one choice: the choice to actively purify air and stop forced filtration.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening? This deep dive into the human air purifier and the lifespan shackle, it gives us a really compelling, maybe, unsettling view of where we might be now and a radically different potential future. The source is really emphatic here. You are not required to be a human air purifier. It suggests you have a real choice to stop inhaling toxins, stop being a sacrificial filter, to choose instead a path towards longevity, clarity, and, well, real control over your life.
Exactly. And it's presented as being about more than just adding years. It's about fundamentally changing the quality of those years and maybe, just maybe, altering the course of civilization. The idea that this single active choice, creating a truly non-toxic air zone for yourself, protecting yourself, could be the key to unlocking the lifespan shackle, and maybe even the entrance to a long-life, slow-aging civilization. Well, it certainly challenges us. It makes us reconsider all these invisible forces shaping us. It really prompts the question, what if the simple act of cleaning the air right around you? What if that's the single most powerful health decision you could ever make, leading to a life not just longer, but profoundly more vibrant, clearer, and truly free?